Hello, friends, benders and non-benders alike. Welcome to Braving the Elements, Nickelodeon's podcast about all things Avatarverse. I'm Janet Varney.
And I'm Dante Basco. And last week we had a great recap of Ember Island Players with our favorite voice director, Andrea Romano. But guess what, Varney? That wasn't enough.
It wasn't enough. This is one of those episodes where even as we were talking about the episode with Andrea, we kept having all of these questions and comments that we wanted to be able to pay compliments to the writers. And we just felt like we're not done. We need more information. We need to celebrate it more. Let's do another episode.
We had
Because we can do that.
I know. So we love this episode of Avatar so much. We had to give it some more love. And we wanted to share that love, not with just one, not with just two, but all three writers.
Come on.
Hello.
Ember Island.
That's a three. What do you call that? A triple header?
Yep.
You guys are wearing baseball
Yeah,
hats.
that's what we call it.
Help
Triple
me.
header.
Help me.
Yeah.
A three-hander?
Yeah.
A six-hander? I don't know. That's a play. Is that a play terminology?
Maybe. Or, and I don't know. I don't know where you're going with this.
We're gonna find out. Three people wrote this marvelous episode. They are all three people you've seen before on the podcast. Please welcome back Josh Hamilton, Tim Hedrick, and joining us remotely, Mr. John O'Brien. Friends, welcome back.
Oh, thank you so much.
It's good to be here.
So you're just going to compliment us? Is that
You
what
guys are
pretty much it.
That's perfect.
Well,
need
here's
that.
why. Because we had to prepare a lot of compliments in case you guys don't remember anything about
That's
writing.
perfect. That's probably going to happen.
It was a minute ago.
Yeah.
It was a minute ago. So we
very
understand that you may be like, I bet that is what we meant when we wrote that. But we had to take that risk because it's just too good.
We had so many
just too
questions
good.
during our recap. We're like, what? And we were like, I wonder how do they know what?
Yeah.
So we now we have
Now
the
we have
horse's
to.
mouth in the
I wanna know
room.
what
We should also
Andrea
shout
had
out
to say.
Giancarlo Volpe, who directed this episode.
Giancarlo.
Probably his second favorite to The Great Divide.
Yeah,
He's
the
nice.
director of The Great
Yep.
Divide.
That makes sense. That adds up.
We have to, we
Great
always have to
Divide,
dangle that out there.
Ember Island.
Yeah.
John O'Brien actually was the. Am I
Oh, we
wrong?
know.
Did you?
He's
Yes,
the Great
okay.
Divide man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, yeah, that is me and Giancarlo's baby, the Great Divide. That's our baby that no one wants to look at.
We looked at that baby over 2 episodes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Wow.
It's
We gave
become
it
one of my
2
favorite
individual
again.
It's become one of my favorite
Yeah.
episodes.
I mean,
I'm a big
canyon crawlers. I mean, it's all.
I
It's
know.
awesome.
Yeah.
canyon crawlers.
And
Little
we
fake
got a nice
backstory.
dig on it in this episode too.
Yes.
Oh, that's
right.
right. Yeah.
We got to
Yes.
get to that.
Yeah, they
We
fly
got
over it.
to get to
We
that.
have to get to that for sure.
Let's keep going.
Okay.
You keep going. Okay.
All right. So first of all, so this episode is so very, very meta. I guess my first question is when you guys are mapping out the 3rd season, is the initial idea for this episode to be a sort of recap, or was it always you guys, let's do a play within a play? Do you remember that conversation when it's first coming up?
I think it was supposed to be like a Clips episode.
Yeah.
Right.
And that's what
Okay.
they were going to do, right? Wasn't it? It was like, let's do a Clips episode to catch everybody up before the finale.
Right.
And
I
then we
don't-
were like, let's do
Is that-
something different. That's the way I remember it.
John
I
O'Brien?
could be making it up.
That sounds right to me.
Yeah.
First, I just want to say that I should have retired after this because this is.
This was the peak.
The Great Divide is
I
something
actually
that
like the Great Divide.
grows
I'm
on
gonna
We
you.
bash
love
it.
the
I'm gonna
Great
bash
Divide.
it, but I
I
really
love it.
like
Artwork alone, just
no
all the
problem with the
different
Great Divide.
artwork going on in Great Divide, phenomenal. But this episode, Ember Island Players, is definitely a chef's kiss.
Yes.
Yeah.
Kind of
Absolutely.
It is.
Absolutely.
I do want to give a little credit to Tim. We're not. He should take more than just a little
Good.
credit.
Little?
Yeah.
But John, I don't know if you remember this, but I don't really remember it being a recap or talking about a recap. I just don't remember that. Not that it didn't exist, but at some point in 3rd season, you said, "Hey, we should do a play," and the play is about us. It was Tim. Tim pitched that. That's how I
Tim,
remember.
that was you, Tim?
Just like
it
the
was like
nugget
the
of an
idea
idea.
was that there would be like a propaganda
Sure.
version of
Right.
Avatar
Yeah.
Adventures that
Right.
they watched in the Fire Nation.
Which we kind
And
of saw a little bit in puppet form. Am I crazy? In puppet form at one of the fire festivals?
Yeah,
There was this sort
right.
of
Yeah,
hint
I mean,
of that
kind
where it
of,
was like,
You guys,
ooh,
there's
yes, this is
there's
a
a lot
thing.
of Fire Nation. We don't
Yeah.
have to call it propaganda. It's Fire Nation.
So
defensive.
They're
They're
artists.
living their
Always.
own truth.
Yeah.
living their own
Yeah.
truth. There's artists putting their stories out there. I mean, there's different perspectives of the world.
Well, I will say this because later we're going to read some of our listeners, our Cabbage Heads' favorite moments from the episode. But one person said it is kind of strange that there's so much propaganda when ostensibly the playwright is from the Earth Kingdom. That
Well,
exists
yeah.
in the and I sort of that stopped me in my tracks. I was like,
That's
these
a-
are all great. These
He's
are all great. And I was like,
servicing
oh, wait.
the Fire Kingdom.
Yeah.
though.
Yeah.
He knows
Right.
where
He knows
his
where the
money
money is.
comes
Yeah,
from.
exactly.
Right.
He's a
Yeah.
Plus,
writer.
it's even better when
He's
you
a
can
writer.
say like propaganda. No, this
Right.
playwright's from the Earth Kingdom.
Exactly.
So it all has to be
That's
true.
Yeah,
deep.
they've got his puppy off
Right.
screen with a gun to its head.
I
Yeah.
think that playwright wrote a lot of that under duress.
Yeah,
Right.
I think you're
completely. There was a lot of influence,
I
probably
did-
by like some
Yeah.
execs
A heavy
with some
hand.
During
network
the
notes.
during the recap, I said I do want to find this playwright. I think we should do a document because it's so good of what all the information he got.
It's a lot to
he's like
study.
the
It's a
Ken
lot of
Burns.
travel.
He's
Who
the Ken
wants
Burns
him?
of the Avatarverse. This guy
Yeah,
got it going
he's been
on.
around.
He's been around.
Yeah.
We
Yeah.
need to do a documentary on this guy.
Yeah,
He
It's
talked
true.
to everybody,
He
kind
really
of.
point of
did.
view. Yeah,
He's very talented.
Yeah.
So-
Tim.
The way I remember this going down, sorry, is I think Tim wrote the first act. Like, we split it into acts, right, guys?
Yeah.
And I
That
think
is the way
Tim
it
did
happened.
the first.
Yep.
I did the second act, and Josh did the third act.
Oh,
Which
wow.
even that is a different
That's cool.
approach than
Yeah.
any other episode,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Other than like Tales of Ba Sing Se, which
it was all broken by us, and we were all together.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think so. The idea was very early on in the season, if I can remember it correctly, and it was like, yes, that's going right before the finale.
Right.
Like, that was like no doubt. It's like a reflection of everything you did.
Yes.
Probably like a Clips episode, but also sort of like weighing the weight of what's going to happen or looking into the
Totally.
future, all that kind of stuff, and tapping back into the characters again.
yeah.
And then, so we had the idea, and then we finally got there, and we all broke it together.
Okay.
So everyone knew
The
what was
qualities of
going
the
on.
characters
Yeah,
that
yeah,
you would
yeah.
play
And
up.
the jokes were like
yeah.
going through different acts with all the
Yeah.
writers.
And it was our last episode that the writers were writing.
yeah.
That's right. Yeah,
That's
because
right,
we,
yeah.
it's Mike's does the
then
Sozin's
after
Comment.
that-
Yeah, and then
We were on our way.
yeah.
Kicked out the door.
But
I'm sure that's what it was
it's
like.
fascinating how self-aware you were as writers in the
Yes.
piece. I'm watching it now and watching the whole series over again. I'm like really enjoying all the inside jokes. I mean, at that time in our real lives, I don't know what year circa this was, you guys were aware of all these things going on without the internet. The internet was not what it is today.
No, the internet. I
But
don't,
you were hearing about fan reactions because we know that you baked some of those into this.
Right,
So
yeah.
somehow it was getting back to you.
There definitely were some jokes like the Zuko outfit joke where it's like your scar's on the wrong eye. And it's
Yeah.
like, that was a Comic-Con thing that went in there. I remember that.
There were like, sometimes it was just sort of inside jokes, like taglines for Sokka, where I
Right.
think the network wanted that, and we would just like make
Oh,
fun of it for
really?
ourselves.
Oh, wow. Those jokes.
Because they were doing SpongeBob. Like
Sure.
Nickelodeon Avatar didn't fit the way
Right.
Yeah.
like a lot of their other shows do. So they were trying to like pull some things in, and so kind of jokingly we gave Sokka a tagline, which is I forget what it was, like I'm hungry or whatever.
Right,
it is,
yeah.
Yeah.
over and over again. So leaning into
crying.
like
Yeah.
one-dimensional version of
Oh,
the
yeah.
characters.
All I want is a full feeling in my stomach. I'm starving.
For sure.
There's also a reference to Aang being a prankster, which is
Yes,
a thing we
that's
never.
Yeah.
Which is that was supposed to be a thing. Like when we were first starting the show, that was going to be like a big aspect of his personality, and it was a thing we never.
Right.
Nobody ever.
It's
followed
like the
through
most
on.
annoying personal trait that you can
Yeah.
give your character. It's
Gotcha.
Like, yeah, you're the most
In your
powerful person in
face.
the universe, and also like, oh, pull down your pants. I'm a prankster.
Did I mention that I'm an incurable prankster? I don't do that. That's not what I'm like.
That's something that comes up. I will say that Brian is a huge advocate of reminding people about Aang's
Yeah.
pranksterness. In particular, that is sort of used to explain in The Great Divide when he lies.
Yeah.
And people, that's one of the
Lies.
reasons that people get upset about that episode. Is like Aang just bald-faced lies to these people. And
When it should be
I
a
think we talked about
prankster.
that with
Should
Brian
rewatch that
Konecko,
episode.
and Brian was
Yeah.
like, he's a trickster, guys. It's
A
okay.
trickster.
It's
A
really okay.
trickster.
But you
Like
see that more
Coyote.
in Monkey Otso than you do Aang. Like you sort of,
Yeah.
he's kind of a trickster, and you think like, oh, okay, so that's sort of in his schooling DNA,
Right,
but you
right,
don't
right.
He
necessarily
was trained
see
to
it.
throw pies at people.
on
But
the
then you
screen.
also see it in this episode as they kind of allude to Peter Pan
Right.
with the egg.
This
Oh,
is
yes.
a trickster.
And,
Yeah.
I mean,
Here's
yeah,
the
he's the trickster of all time.
That's
It's Peter
right.
Pan.
Yeah.
And shout out to Kathy Rigby, the inspiration for making Aang a woman in the production. She did Peter Pan for,
Yes.
I don't know,
Yeah.
30 years on
And
Broadway.
then
saw-
Mary
I-
Martin.
Mary Martin did it.
Why do I? I mean, I
Speaking
know
of,
the name Mary Martin.
of Aang flaws, like the fact that he gets that annoyed that a woman is playing him.
Yes.
It's the least enlightened thing ever.
I know.
But he's 12, so it's sort of
That
like
still
yeah,
happens.
yeah.
Like, let's not
Yeah.
pretend like every boy child
That's
is not
right.
going to be like, I don't need a girl
Right,
playing
yeah.
me.
No.
Much like if Aang were a girl, she might not be that. I mean, we know what happens with Toph. That's kind of a different story.
She's into it.
Right.
Wait a minute. I sound like a guy. A really buff guy.
Well, Toph, what you hear up there is the truth. It hurts, doesn't it?
Are you kidding me? I wouldn't have cast it any other way. At least it's not a flying bald lady.
Aang's trying to come off as a romantic lead, and you know,
Yeah, it's
That's an
purposely.
important part
It's
of
like
it.
knocking him down a peg on purpose.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, whether or not like having a girl play you is bad or good, it's just like it's not him. It's not how he views himself.
Right.
With
Right.
Katara
Right.
as well, as he
Right.
gets knocked down a peg. The ending of the thing is like the Fire Lord wins.
Right.
So it's all the pressure.
Yeah, you
like,
guys have a
piling
lot
up.
going on
Right.
in this episode
Yeah.
because not only are you doing the recap, you just reminded me, Josh, that you're going through the whole Aang Katara thing
And the Zuko guilt
and the
thing.
Zuko,
Yeah.
all the intermissions, which is 2 intermissions
Also
in a
great.
show.
Yeah.
Right,
It's
yeah.
a
And
long
in a
show.
play is a long play. I don't remember
Yeah.
the
We
last
needed
play I
some
went to. I was
time
like
out.
2 intermissions.
It's like an opera.
Yeah.
That's why-
Pooh on Tim is long-winded.
It's an
a lot
epic
to say.
saga. It's an epic saga. You're lucky that it wasn't like come back tomorrow and we'll give you Act 4.
Yeah,
like
exactly.
They had
Yeah.
to cram a lot in
This
there.
is
Well, we
like
know
the-
they have
yeah.
to skirt over
like
some
Wagner
stuff.
would do this.
Yeah, totally. It's like one of those
Epic
plays.
tale. Yeah.
It's a beautiful story. I do want to shout out that just going by sort of chronological order, that the poster that Sokka brings home is an exaggerated rendition of the cover art for like
First
the box
season.
set,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
That was the first
So if
season
it
poster.
seems familiar,
Yeah, it was a DVD box set,
Yeah,
I believe. That's
yeah.
what it was from, like an actual DVD art. But then
Yeah.
I think Sokka's jaw is super, like just built like a rock.
great. Love
But
that
that's
poster.
so weird. The box set came out before the show was done.
It was the
would be
book
like
one.
season
Book
yeah,
one. It
book
was just the
one.
book
Yeah, I
one
believe it was just
DVD.
book one,
set.
yeah.
Oh, okay.
Scott Menville as Sokka, play Sokka.
Oh,
is
Scott
very-
Menville, yes.
Yes.
Oh,
Over
the
the top.
casting was so inspired.
On point.
Who? Because we know it wasn't Andrea, because she said it wasn't her. But she was like, the Nickelodeon casting department is amazing. Did you guys have any intel on, like, for example, getting the wonderful Rachel Dratch to be Aang, or was that like a surprise to you? Like, guess what? Guess who we got?
Surprise to me,
That's the
for
first
sure.
I've heard that. I didn't know that.
Wait, you didn't know Rachel Dratch plays Aang?
No.
Oh my gosh! Wait, did you watch the episode to remind yourself about the
I
episode?
did, but I would lose.
That's Rachel.
I would lose Avatar trivia with a lot of people. I'm not gonna lie.
I'm never gonna put you through that. Never gonna put you through that.
I did the Avatar pop-up videos, kind of.
Oh, wow.
I
Yeah.
forget what they're called.
That's right, yeah.
They might not be out there. But so I went through my trivia last night, all the stuff, because I wrote all
You
of
know.
those.
Oh wow.
And I was like, oh, yeah. But I didn't, it wasn't internalized. I
Right.
had to kind of go back and look at it because
Right.
it's been so long.
Yeah. So okay, so we
But I
got,
did my homework, John.
yeah. So well, it's fun. I like being able to tell one of the writers of the episode that the great Rachel Dratch plays
Yeah.
Aang. That's a very fun piece of information to give. But you certainly knew that Scott Menville.
I guess that
was Sokka,
answers the
so-
question that
I know Scott's voice really well.
Oh yeah. Okay.
Yeah, just because I've worked with him a lot.
So that's a personal connection. Well, listen, I'll introduce you to Rachel. She's a great gal.
that'd be
I do
great.
improv with her. She's wonderful. Very, very excited to have her in there. Yeah. So let's talk about the places that Puan Tin went. The Boy in the Iceberg is a new production from acclaimed playwright Puan Tin, who scoured the globe gathering information on the Avatar from the icy South Pole to the heart of Ba Sing Se. His sources include singing nomads, pirates, prisoners of war, and a surprisingly knowledgeable merchant of cabbage. Everyone loves that reference to the merchant of
Yes,
cabbage.
exactly. I will talk about Puan Tin.
I was going to
just
say,
for a
we
second.
should
Can
bring
we
this
Please,
up.
shout
he's
out
a hidden
Puan
hero
Tin.
in all of this.
The name Puan Tim, I wrote the episode where Sokka gets a sword master named Pian Dao.
Yes.
Beyond
We had a woman on the show named Dao who was the animatic editor. She took umbrage at this, that I had named someone Pian Dao. And so she wanted revenge, I think good-naturedly.
Oh my
For sure,
And I
goodness.
for
said,
sure.
I will make this right. And so I made the name of the playwright Puan Tim. And that is
Oh my goodness.
I am
That
so
was
glad
justice.
you reminded me of this.
I can't believe I never
Oh my
thought about.
goodness.
That is so childish.
The Ken
It's
Burns
kind of
of the Avatarverse.
yeah. It's just a
Is
big
poo on
poop joke.
Tim.
Yeah.
I believe Dao was very excited about
Yeah,
that.
I would hope so. But that
I
was
love
that. But when you named that character Pian Dao, you weren't like
No, it's
it
like
wasn't
the name
intentional.
of a
it's a
Chinese
real
sword.
name.
Yeah.
That's
yeah.
really, really funny.
Yeah.
I love
This
it.
is why we do this.
This is crazy.
We're the heroes.
Yeah, exactly.
That's
you
true.
are.
We should be
You are.
complimenting
Who want Tim?
you.
We're the
Who
heroes.
want him?
You've done it.
Oh
You've
my
got
God.
it out.
Yeah.
Oh.
It's finally the truth can be told.
Yeah.
Okay, next question.
That's a little fact nobody knew in any trivia.
Oh my God, I guarantee you. Oh, this is breaking news. Did you know that you wanted the play to be bad? Like, did you know that you wanted parts of the play to kind of be great, like the production? But
Yes.
once you were working on it, was it like, I mean, we got to have fun with these actors. Like, we have to make this
The way that Giancarlo and Brian and everyone involved that actually did the play part was shocking to me. I couldn't believe how they, the arm Momo is like
Right.
a
Yeah.
puppet,
Yeah.
and the arm kind of dangles.
Yeah.
All the effects.
the fake arm, yeah.
I don't know how much, from my perspective, it wasn't written in. Not what
Okay.
I did.
Right.
And so it was like really awesome to see like how they like
great.
leaned on
Yeah.
that and showed that. For me, it was fun to just do the jokes and the one-dimensionalness of like what, maybe like fans thought about the characters like at their worst or whatever it was. That was the fun part for me to write. But like all those effects, it was so awesome.
They're
Yeah.
so well done. So
Very
you,
inside theater kid.
Yeah,
game.
Oh,
totally,
inside,
right?
mega inside theater. So in the script, it would just say like Momo is a puppet, or did you even say that? Or you just like, and
I
there's
don't
Momo
remember.
somehow.
Yeah, Momo was definitely,
definitely
like
a puppet.
because we were making Momo talk, and that was
Right.
like,
How do you do that?
The bad
Um,
ventriloquism.
yeah,
There
exactly.
were
Rabbit
I
monkey
love
flying,
you.
rabbit monkey,
No,
Momo.
there were a lot of like references to stuff that the toy people had wanted too, where it was like
We
Ah.
always made fun of that.
Yeah.
Like that was a target for sure.
100%.
Yeah.
When I was doing voices for the toy people that weren't you guys,
Yeah.
You were
I was
like,
in there like, what's
I don't
going
know.
on? Like, can you say flame on? Like,
yeah,
no.
He was poo on
says
Tim. That was
Cowabunga,
poo
right?
on Tim.
yeah.
You guys got me saying crazy fire lines that
Yeah.
make no sense in the world.
Firebending ho!
Yeah.
We actually got toy prototypes back in the day, and they were so far off from what the characters were. There was like
oh,
Aang with like air bazooka
Yeah.
or something like
No.
that.
Yeah.
I don't remember if that was exactly what it was, but it was something that was totally wrong. And
Yeah.
Was there an
yeah.
air
you
sword?
could see where they're
Yeah, the
coming
air
from.
sword,
it was just
like
A handle.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the kind of thing where I feel like my impression of the process of like you guys getting exposed to the prototypes would be you all having a blast with them and laughing over it, and then Mike and Brian just sitting in a corner, like
Yeah.
pinching their
Yeah.
foreheads and shaking their
100%.
heads
Yeah,
sadly,
yeah, that's
like.
pretty accurate.
"No,
And-
this
so
isn't that.
Aang-
No.
Aang would have stuff on him. Just so much
Right.
armor.
Yes,
Like the armor
armor.
we see, you make fun
Yeah,
of.
yeah,
in
that
Nightmares
was
and
it.
Daydreams.
That
yeah.
was it. Yeah. That was
Some of
the
those
same
toys are
one.
still
Same.
out there. Same
Yeah.
with the Zuko toys, like fire can, like crazy stuff.
Yeah.
Where you're like,
Yeah.
I don't know. And like with the toy game and Comic Con, toys have come a long way.
Yeah.
But there was an era of toy makers that were like, what
Yeah.
are
Yeah.
they doing?
They were
this
leaning
was old
backwards.
school
Yeah.
He-Man style.
Yeah,
Right,
yeah.
right.
It's like,
All
do-
he wants is the drill. Just make
I
the
just want
drill.
the drill.
Just make the drill.
Like
He
a
wants
huge-
I was
to
kind
use
of
the
surprised.
drill.
I forgot that we made fun of the drill.
Yeah.
No, the drill
Like,
is
I was
great.
surprised
Remote
too.
remote control drill.
I know.
You could drill holes in your backyard.
But that
to
was
your
definitely a
neighbor's house.
question.
love it.
I yeah, we'll get to that because that was definitely a question. I was
All right.
like, wait, because the Great Divide thing is not a huge surprise, but I was surprised about. Okay, so let's talk about the characters that we were just talking about, playing up or playing down
Yes.
certain things. Was Aang being played in this sort of pixie-ish, Peter Pan-ish way by a woman? Was that kind of always part of the plan when you guys are kind of conceiving of this?
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Great.
For me, because it was very Peter Pan, and it was
Right.
like would make Aang very embarrassed and be like, "Oh, aren't I a
Yeah.
tough hero?"
I
guy?"
wanna be-
You know?
yeah,
And
exactly.
put
I
on
don't
Tim.
wanna be
You
that.
put on Tim. Your first act, right? Your
Yes.
first act guy. Put
Yeah.
on Tim.
Oh
Yes,
yeah,
first
thanks
act
for the
guy.
reminder.
Yeah.
Yeah, first, second, third. First, second, third.
Yeah.
Sorry, I was just gonna say I remember getting to write Avatar State Yip Yip and feeling like it's the height of my career. I'm just gonna stop. It's not gonna get, nothing's ever gonna get better than that.
Avatar
Yeah.
State Yip Yip. I will
Well,
wear
we
that
would,
shirt forever.
you know, we would pitch out all of like the outline together. So we put all the cards up and like jokes are just going everywhere.
Yeah.
Right.
And then we would do a rewrite together usually. I think we
Yeah.
did a rewrite together on this one. So
there could be some punching up or
That's
some
right.
last
Yeah.
minute
Yeah.
like.
That's not
Yeah.
it.
So that doesn't
Not
solve
definitive.
the mystery.
No.
Avatar
No.
State Yip Yip does
Yeah,
not
I
mean
think
that
that's right.
you were in charge of the. Okay, got it. What about Sokka? Like, how funny or unfunny? What's that conversation like? Like, how funny is this character? Is this on stage Sokka going to be?
yeah, like I always thought Sokka thought he was funny, you know, but he's
Right.
like kind of like
Yeah.
halfway funny. And so I don't know. Yeah, I really like, you know, just one-dimensionalizing him to food and funny. It
Right.
was like
Yeah.
those were the two things we think of when we think of Sokka.
It's true.
And
But
then he kind of goes back and kind of reaffirms that a little
yeah,
bit.
he does. But I think that was very true to like, we need a Sokka joke here. That's
Yeah.
the well we
Yeah,
were going to.
yeah.
So that's more of a slam on us than
No, but some of those jokes, they're really good. Pretty
yeah.
good jokes.
I mean, I'm not saying they're not good.
pretty
but,
good
there's,
jokes.
Yeah.
Like, you know,
Yeah.
we could have grown Sokka a little bit more
Yeah,
in his
that's
internal
true.
life,
Right.
I guess.
It's also
you know.
a commentary on the audience of that play in the show because they are eating it up.
Oh
yeah,
yeah,
they love
yeah.
it.
So-
yeah,
So-
it's like, thank God
they
he's
love
there.
those jokes. They love those jokes.
I loved him too.
Well, what about Katara?
Oh,
I mean,
yeah.
leaning into the Katara's emotional, sometimes overly preachy thing, and then
She's maybe a little more mature.
very mature, a little curvy,
Then-
little curvy.
Yeah,
This Katara.
yeah.
Katara.
She's older.
She's always
Definitely.
crying. She's always crying in the play.
She's
which I
always
was like,
crying.
that's probably the mean part.
What was the
Yeah.
episode where they were prisoners and they were stuck on like the metal? They were earthbending prisoners. Whatever
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
episode. was. She gives-
Imprisoned.
In prison.
Prison.
That's
I
the name of
love
it.
that
Where they're
speech.
prisoners and something.
I know you're dancing around it. You're dancing all around it.
In prison.
Captives. Anyway, she gives like I think that was her first speech. she ever
Her
gave.
first
Big
speech.
monologue.
And-
Big monologue.
Yeah.
It's a great speech.
Yeah, and I remember when I think Matt Hubbard did that one, and everyone was like, "This is a great speech," and then from there it was like she gives speeches all the time,
Right,
and really
yeah.
good and heartwarming and moving speeches. And
She's just like a
tearjerkers.
painted lady is kind of a
Yeah, she
impassioned
does,
speech
yeah.
episode,
Shout out to the
right?
painted
Yeah.
lady.
Painted lady.
Oh, there she is.
She does a lot of speeches.
Yeah, she speechifies. Somebody's
love
got
it.
to.
Pontificates. She pontificates.
She monologues a little bit.
Well, and that's a great moment too later, which we'll see, which is her saying, and I agree. None of us are like this. I'm not like this. And
Yeah.
then there's just a quiet falls over everyone. It's so good. Okay, you talked a little bit about the Zuko thing. That the Zuko scar on the wrong side is actually
scar's
you saw
not on the
you
wrong
think you saw
side.
someone.
yeah, that was like somebody did that at Comic. There would
You're
be
like,
like
oh, you're
everybody's
so
dressed up at
close.
Comic Con,
Totally.
and like they got the thing on the wrong side, or it's like the patches don't go the right way.
Maybe
Yeah.
they're
It
just
was
even
like
it
a little-
out because they couldn't walk good after a while. They're just like,
But you're
no,
also-
oh
Gotta give
God,
this
no,
one a
don't look at
break.
me like this.
From someone who has cosplayed Zuko, you are doing it in the mirror.
Right. Yeah.
So you're kind of
I
doing
hear
it
you.
how you see it.
Yeah.
I
Interesting.
hear you.
But then you
Mhm.
mess up, and then you're walking around
That's the
on
way it
the
is.
wrong side.
Yeah.
But
did
what
that?
you do is you immediately pivot and say, "I'm Zuko from the Ember
Ember
Island
Island
Players."
Oh my God.
You
Wow, that's super
always
inside.
lean on
There
that
you
now.
go.
You
Done.
gave them the gift.
My
You gave them
mistake
that.
is your gift.
That's
Yeah.
exactly right.
The
That's
hair.
Exactly
You guys
right.
know about the hair with Zuko's hair journey?
Yeah,
Oh boy.
I don't
hair?
remember the hair journey, but I mean, whoever designed the hair, or,
That
you know, like,
beautiful
depict,
mane.
depict his whole
Flowing
hair journey
lines.
in the play, which I'm like, that's so hilarious that
So good.
it's something we always. I mean, I talk about with fans all the time. Like, yeah, I mean, Zuko's hair is it's a big part of his life.
Yeah.
It's a big part of his arc. It's a big part
Yeah,
of his arc.
he gets that emo hair in the.
Yeah.
emo
he does.
hair is the way to go.
I like the emo hair.
Emo
I guess
hair.
that's my. What's
good
everyone's
look.
favorite Zuko hair look? Sitting around the table.
What are all the options here?
Like
Well, you
Ponytail?
have-
not.
You have the ponytail with
got-
full shave.
Yeah.
Crew cut.
You got the
just
kind of
of
the
like
Right, just
messy.
kinda
growing in. You got the
Yeah.
messy.
Yeah.
You got the very brief Iroh-induced part and grease
Ugh,
when
not
he goes
good
on
look.
his
Oh,
date.
right, the date.
Doesn't last very long.
Uh-huh.
You got it. Then he puts it back in the ponytail,
Yeah.
but it's not shaved.
Well, you got the
blanking.
the emo look, and then you
Yeah.
do got the very royal, where it's longer. We can actually pull it into the
Oh.
royal
Right.
crown.
Like
look.
the
Right.
whole,
Right,
the
the
whole
full
deal.
top
No
thing.
shaving.
no
anymore.
shaving.
Yeah.
Is that,
Right.
is that the ending
His
version?
full honor. To
Right.
do
Yeah.
that.
Yes. Okay. I'm not wrong. I got
Yeah.
scared.
I think
Yeah.
I like full honor version.
I was gonna
Full
say
honor.
that too.
Honor.
Yeah.
Probably second is shaved head.
Second
Total,
for
like,
me.
Ponytail.
not just
Oh,
chops.
just
Oh,
top.
okay.
Yeah.
Fresh
When I
fresh
see
chop. Okay.
the cosplayers with the ponytail, I'm like, Strong choice.
Yeah, that is.
Yeah.
Strong choice
Yeah.
with
Yeah.
that particular look.
Yeah.
Agreed.
Okay, so you're all
I'll
full
go
honor.
with emo.
You're going emo.
Yeah.
Emo's
buddy.
my guy.
Yeah.
Emo's my guy.
Which one is emo? The messy?
Messy.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's-
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
pretty cool.
I like when he's working in the tea shop or
great.
yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
great.
He's hanging out on the
It's a
beach.
good look. But in the play, I love that bouncy dude.
The play.
Right.
Beautiful.
That is
Flipping
goes
around
all
hair,
over the place.
shampoo commercial
Shampoo
hair.
commercial.
It's
He's
gorgeous.
like 80s
It's
rock
very
star.
Prel.
80s rock
Gorgeous.
star hair.
Yeah.
great.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Momo's a hand puppet. We talked about that. Was the flying rabbit monkey thing because people were like, what's a flying lemur? It looks like a flying rabbit monkey. Like, do you think that was a response to something, or is that just your inside joke of like, what would Pooh on Tim think?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
that's kinda what I
probably
was
it.
thinking.
Yeah,
Okay.
I think that's it.
All right.
Pooh on Tim.
Yeah.
Now you love saying. Now it's like.
Now I got it.
Oh.
I'm telling you.
Come on, Tim's not a zoologist. You know? He doesn't know.
He's the Ken Burns
Yeah,
of
Yeah.
the
exactly,
Avatarverse.
Yeah.
Kind
limited
of.
by-
It's like
I don't know that any,
his nephew.
I would imagine nobody outside the air monks knows what a lemur is. Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
I mean,
they've
that's a
good
been
point.
flying around for like 100 years.
We
Yeah.
don't know.
Yeah.
No one's ever seen a lemur.
He likes to say that they're these real life animals that no one's ever seen. He says no one's ever seen a badger.
yeah.
No one. in
Now
Los
he
Angeles-
says no one's
I
ever seen
remember
a
this
live lemur.
conversation.
Los
It
Angeles
must
there.
come up a lot.
It
yeah.
does. It does.
And
Okay,
as much
yeah.
as no
It's a
one's seen
badger
a
denier.
badger,
No one's seen a lemur.
lemurs.
Yeah.
Kidding
Oh,
me?
yeah.
Mystery.
Lemur?
sure.
A monkey,
Yeah.
yeah, but
Monkey,
like,
100%.
Yeah.
Let me ask you
Yeah.
this: what about a kawadi? You don't even know what that is.
I
You've
don't
never
even
heard
know.
that word before.
Is that
The
a
word's-
karate
it's
koala bear?
karate. It's
Is that a
called
koala
karate.
bear that does karate?
Promise you, I'm not
Yeah,
talking
I think
about
you're
karate.
pitching a new
I
show.
Martial
promise
arts.
you, I'm not talking
It's a
about
break
karate
wood.
koala bear, isn't it?
that could be what it is. But kawadis are running around in Mexico looking adorable and cute and getting fed by tourists.
Is it like a little mouse?
No, it looks like a lemur. That's why I brought it up. Yeah.
Nobody's seen a lemur.
I got a lot of
out
work
there.
to
I
do.
know
You
Kawadi.
guys
I
listen
know
to this,
Crazy.
You know, and I
Boo.
know. You've never seen a lemur.
No, I've never seen a lemur.
All right, we're going to go to the zoo together. It's going to be a really fun field trip.
There won't be a lemur
Yeah.
there.
There's no lemur in that zoo.
There's gonna
Definitely
be a
not
lemur.
a badger. No badger in the zoo.
I agree
that's
that
too
there's no
bad.
badger in the zoo.
There ought
Nobody
to
beats
be.
that.
Yeah.
It's not you're not going to see a skunk in the zoo either, but they're real.
Toph as a dude. Let's talk about it. I heard some stories before that it comes from Toph was originally going to be a dude.
Yeah, I think Toph briefly was going to be a dude.
Yeah, I think more than briefly. I think there was a lot of
Yeah.
talk about it.
Really?
Like a
That was
lot
like
of,
Aaron or Eric or somebody really early on was like, what if it's not a guy?
Yeah, yeah. So it was a guy for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Like, but Toph, I think that's pretty. I mean, that's for sure a fact.
Yeah.
Like
Yes.
Toph
Right.
was supposed to be a guy, and then
Yeah.
there was like, well, let's change it to, not a guy. And so there was a big conversation about it.
Yeah.
And he was supposed to be tough, and so we're just
Tough and
there's
Toph.
a big conversation about that. So this was our fun of like, hey, let's that
Right.
version, that old
So
version could
brilliant.
exist, but maybe a little bit hyper version of that.
I mean, it's a great version for the people that she fights as the blind
Yeah.
bandit. I
Yeah.
mean, that guy belongs right there with the boulder and the
Absolutely.
hippo, right?
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
I've
Man,
al-
what a less interesting character that would have been, though. Jesus.
Totally.
We made the right call.
Yeah, some
Agreed.
brilliance.
Right.
I agreed. Although I have seen a great Toph guy cosplayer.
Yeah.
Looked really good. That the Ember Island player Toph.
Nice.
And voiced by the brilliant John DiMaggio.
yeah, John DiMaggio,
Amazing.
another
Yeah.
great get.
Yeah.
Lots of great gets. And lots of, we talked about this a lot with Andrea, but lots of fun crossovers of, Gray doing the Katara voice and and Jenny Kwan doing the Yue voice.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Even as she is Suki
That's
in
like
the
inner.
episode.
So
Yeah.
That
so
stuff was
inside,
very
inside,
fun.
inside cut
Very
stuff.
fun.
Well, what about the screaming though? I mean, we should talk about the scream.
What was
know.
that screaming? Sonic. The
You're
Sonic.
like, it's not going to exactly be what Toph can do. What's
Yeah.
the most irritating
Yeah,
version?
like a
of
bat.
that?
But the scream itself,
so-
I don't know where it came from, but like
so
the scream
good.
itself is like
It's
so great.
amazing.
I see everything that you see, except I don't see like you do. I release a sonic wave from my mouth. There. I got a pretty good look at you.
I was just trying to think of like what other blind how blind animals communicate. And it's,
Yeah.
No,
bats.
yeah.
No, you're
Very
right.
daredevil.
Star,
Very
absolutely.
daredevil. Very
Exactly, yeah.
daredevilish. Seeing that thing, but it just when I'm watching the show, it's like Pooh on Tim. I'm just imagining Pooh on Tim getting things kind of right,
Yeah.
not right. He heard about it. It's like folklore going on. Like, oh yeah, this blind, tough character is going around that special vision, like exactly how
He's got to fill in some gaps.
these reporters
right?
are coming
He's not
in.
there at every
These
one.
reporters, you know, they're getting what they can get.
Well, that's definitely one that has to be. It almost has to be third, fourth, and fifth party back to him because you're not going to talk to somebody who's seen Toph who's not going to remember that no screaming took place. So it has to be like, well, I was able to talk to someone who knew someone who knew someone who said they were there.
Yeah.
I think she screamed.
Yeah. No, because she can't see,
and
but
he's
she
like,
can
sounds
see.
good.
Yeah.
Huh?
Also,
She can see everything.
Imagine you're a Fire Nation soldier and you get beat up by this little girl. You're not going to go back to the troops and be like, oh, it's this little girl. You're going to say it was this giant guy. You know?
That's a great point.
So
everyone's lying.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
I want to
The whole
say
thing
there's
is a lie.
I want to, and if I'm wrong about this, that it means that I love this this sort of trope so much that I've now inserted into my own memory about the episode. But are there little like air squiggles that like make the air ripple during the scream, like when Homer belches? Like those are the two things I think of as like, this is a sound that is warping reality as we know it. It's causing little ripples in what we see to happen. That's very satisfying.
I don't know, but that scream is just so great.
It's
the greatest.
beautiful scream.
Great.
There's a lot happening in that scream. There's a lot of levels to that scream. And then what about more? You just have more actors that you want to speak? I mean there must be a limit. Yeah. Is that like we can only have X amount of actors in for the budget?
Yeah.
Is that we have to make it count with what we have because we don't want it to be too many speaking parts because that will sort of lose the luster of like what makes it so funny? Do you remember that?
We did see Suki and May.
We see Ty Lee, but we don't hear from them.
No talkie on stage.
Yeah.
Oh, Ty Lee gets to do her little touch.
Her
thing.
kiss and touch.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
It's so good.
I think it was
But May
probably
doesn't
just.
get to do anything. I don't think, right?
Yeah, I think it's probably just time. Like you can only cram in so many people.
But we already had 2 intermissions in the situation. Like how epic is this epic tell?
Yeah.
I agree. I think we just were going through picking what we thought was best.
Yeah.
What we can make fun of, what we could have fun with, or
Sure.
it highlights our characters for sure. And I think this is just where we landed. So there wasn't a conscious like, hey, this guy, not this guy.
Got it.
For sure. It was like, what's best for our characters, I think.
I mean, I would watch. Everyone says are saying it's too long and there's too many intermissions. I would watch. I would watch a 3-hour version of this. I would watch you guys unpack every pun and like spoof you could come up with, up to and including more from.
Well, we don't know if there's like a deal with a concessions guy, you know, that was like, we need more intermission.
Gotta get
That's
those
true,
concessions
yeah.
dollars.
You get the fire gummies.
That's right, those fire gummies.
Flakes. Fire
I'm
gummies.
into it.
Yeah,
I'm into
and the audience, you know, they went through the ups and downs. They were, they were engaged at moments, and they were definitely
they were
napping
sleepy.
at other moments.
Yeah, they definitely had opinions, as we saw.
The low drone of the drill probably was why. I mean, it's exciting.
soothing.
It's
Kind
just
of a
the sound.
relaxing kind of
It's a
like,
soothing white noise.
What
kind
was
of,
that? Were they weren't into the drill that much.
And what I read was that fans were not that into that episode.
Oh.
I read that they.
I didn't know that. That's news to me.
People were like, we found it kind of boring.
when I rewatched this, I was like, oh, I forgot we took a shot at the drill.
Yeah, me
Yeah.
too.
You know,
Yeah.
You know
I
why?
didn't
Because
remember
the
that.
drill was drilling a long time into the wall.
Yeah.
Because it's the wall of bossing.
Well-
It's the Great Wall of China, whatever you want to say
Yeah.
of it.
It
So
is boring.
We can't
It's
just knock the
very
wall
boring,
down instantly,
literally.
right? But like to see it drill for a long time is not
Yeah.
Yeah.
cinematic.
Yeah. It was just
Yeah.
long, right?
It's an external action thing, so it's
What's the drill's
kind of-
emotional journey?
yeah.
How
Exactly.
unfair! This was your opportunity to make the drill a speaking character into the play.
That would have been great.
I have thoughts too. All right,
Well,
let's talk about.
Let's go. Let's get into it.
Let's talk about the Zutara in this plot line.
You guys threw some
There was
Zutara
a
in
lot
there.
of Zutara in here.
Whose
Oh,
choice
yeah.
was
You
that?
could be making fun of people who love Zutara, but we happen to know there are some Zutara fans here sitting at
Yeah.
the table. Not
That's
just
me.
to
Yeah.
us.
That's
For
me
sure.
too.
Oh,
Are
yeah.
you by now
I
know
agree,
how it
yeah.
ends? You know how the series
Right.
ends.
Yeah.
Are you doing it all? Are you giving them some service? Are you giving them like, this is the last gasp of Zutara? I'm giving you the chance to see it in the way that you would like it to be seen. at
You're
least a
definitely leaning
pinch.
heavy towards like we're servicing the shippers.
Yeah.
And I think
I
we were
doubt it.
always leaning towards like just the characters. Like how can we like pile it on Aang?
Great.
You know,
Oh,
that's
that
like
makes
I
sense.
think that's where it landed. But
That
it was
makes sense.
it could do both at the same time.
That's
Right.
true.
yeah. And that's what we I mean that's what do you think?
I don't
Yeah.
think it was really settled that
Ah.
Aang and
Here we
Zutara
go.
were going to get
Here
together
we
at the end of
go.
the
Here
season.
we go.
You know, I mean, that's where it seemed like it was going, but it wasn't,
You're giving this
a foregone conclusion.
Right, yeah, we had
You
this
know?
conversation.
Aang could have that it was just in the.
He could have, embraced his monk lifestyle and just wandered off to
This
get
is
into
true.
more adventures.
It wasn't looking good for him. I'll
You
tell
know?
you that.
Yeah.
It was not looking good for him for the last few episodes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And this episode does not help the contain thing at all.
No, it's like it's
Awkward
got to
moments.
get worse before it gets better. I
You
guess,
guys,
if you
someone
wanna
wrote
look at
a
it that
very
way.
awkward moment for Aang in this situation
Aang.
that has happened to a lot of guys.
It's happened to a lot of people.
A lot
in
of
general,
people
I will say.
just leading in at the wrong time.
Oh,
misstep.
yeah.
Misstep.
Oh, yeah. Swing and a miss.
Yeah.
We'll get there.
Yeah, that's
We'll
right.
get there.
Yeah.
But
guy.
okay, so yes. So I love all the Zutara stuff. I
It's
think
nice
it's great.
to know that
I think
Zutara
it works
was
on
in
all
the
of the
writers'
levels.
room.
Yeah.
It's nice to know that Zutara energy was
Yeah.
in the writers' room.
It works
For
on all
sure.
the levels.
It definitely existed in the writers' room. Lots of conversations for sure.
We love it. But Katara is also super into Jet for
That's
at least
right.
part
She
of
likes
this
the bad boy.
play.
Yeah.
Oh, Jet,
She has a type.
You're so
She
bad.
has a type.
Yeah.
He's so bad.
He murders those people, and she likes it.
Well, he's more. Is he more or less definitively treated in the play when a boulder falls on him and then he has to tuck his leg in
Yeah.
when
Yeah.
it doesn't quite
that was
land where it's
amazing.
supposed to? Everybody wants to know.
It's still
before
confusing.
this happens. What happened to Jet? We've definitely talked about it on the show. I'm pretty sure we've heard the words from Mike and Brian's mouth and possibly yours and possibly all of yours that Jet dies.
He's a dead
But
man.
we don't
Yeah.
say dies.
But
for
even
the
in
most
this,
part,
they
we say
leave it.
defeated
They
for all
leave it
time.
kind of like it's unclear.
Yeah, I
So
know.
that's
It's
so
so
is
great.
that you guys responding to people being confused about what happened to Jet? Is it you guys knowing that even for yourselves it was
Yes.
confusing? Is
Yeah.
it all of the above?
Yeah, I think that was a comment on the way the show turned out by the writer's room, saying that was unsatisfying.
Yeah.
We didn't like it.
There was, yeah, because we were on after SpongeBob, and I don't think they wanted to see kids die.
Right. And that's understandable.
That's understandable.
Very, very understandable.
That was like, wait, we couldn't actually use the word kill most of the time.
Yeah.
We would definitely get pushback on that.
Sure.
Right.
Yeah, you couldn't punch someone in the face. Like, I'm sure you guys heard this, but you could shoot fire at them.
Okay.
Because it's magical.
Right.
But there
Right,
was
right.
some things like when you see
Right.
Gyatso's like bones, you're like, oh, he's dead.
Yeah.
Like, he died.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's one of the most
Fire Nation did
upsetting
this.
moments,
Right, yeah.
I think, in
Yeah.
the entire
And his
series.
bones are just there, like he's definitely dead.
That's
That was
I remember Mike and Brian talking about how they had to fight for that.
Yeah, me too.
Like
I bet.
Mike actually had to tell them like, no, look at Indiana
Yep.
Jones. You see bones in Indiana Jones,
Right.
And it's
still a
fine.
fun
Yeah.
movie.
Yeah, it was campier. I remember the exact conversation.
Yeah.
That's the Bones and Jones argument, just so you know. Bones and Jones. Use it when you need it. Bones and
Nice.
Jones.
You should name things.
Yeah.
However,
I'm trying so hard to, John.
the fact that Jet's death is unclear for the audience, and I like Jet so much. I like to think, I say
loves
on this
Jet.
podcast that he's become like the Elvis, the Tupac of the Avatarverse. There's Jet sightings
yeah,
all
you see
over
him
the
around there. He's
Bossing Sapio. I still see him every now and then.
just someone
Yeah.
with straw in their mouth.
Yeah, there's
Yeah.
a guy with a straw in his mouth. I swear
People
we've
make the
seen Jet.
pilgrimage
He's
to
a
the
little
treehouse.
older now.
Yeah.
He's a little older now, but we don't know if
Yeah.
it's true or not. There's a lot of Jet sightings.
I love that. I love that you're continuing to build the non-canon lore. We all do. We all do. Were there more events that would have been depicted, but that had to get whittled down as you were writing, or did you have that strong sense of like, well, we knew pretty early on we needed to kind of cut out not just the Great Divide for laughs, but also like what happens that Aang misses, when he comes in and gets like brought up to speed? Like, were those? Do you remember any of those conversations about what to include in the play?
I think probably we pitched versions of everything and picked the funniest ones. Is probably what happened. I don't
love
remember
to
anything that we left
see-
on the cutting room floor. That
The Great Divide joke was always just that.
Yeah.
Right.
There was never going to be a reenactment.
Yeah,
Like,
that was beautiful. That's clearly a beautiful
That was
moment.
Yeah, it's a good shot. What was it? Said it's the biggest canyon in the Earth Kingdom.
keep going.
It's great.
You know what that joke is kind of Vacation, right? Where they
Yeah.
stop at the Grand Canyon.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
That's a good point.
Yeah,
It
that
is like, well, here it
It was
is.
Yeah.
perfect for
Yeah.
that episode too.
so we stole it.
Okay, we talked about the drill. Talked about Avatar State. Yip yip.
That's written by
Feather
John
in the
O'Brien.
cap.
John O'Brien, Avatar State. Yip yip.
That's the first thing in my portfolio that I send out to people.
Not Flamio hot name.
It could be at the end of your email, just and your signature.
Yep. I'd be on board for that.
That's all that's on my LinkedIn.
Yeah, I love how everything was so close, right? The Toph size, the screaming,
it's so good.
It's just like it was right
so great.
there, but missed it.
It makes me think when I watch like historical movies and things. Now that I know the Avatar world so well, I'm like, I bet you these historical
I think
movies
that's probably true.
are wrong.
Yeah.
I mean, they're not wrong, but they're not 100% right.
Those people.
I'm thinking we can actually do a live version of Ember Island Players at Sketchfest.
I could not be more on board for
Probably
that.
not do
That's a great
the
idea.
2 intermissions, but I mean...
Well, we need to sell concessions. As Josh has reminded me.
Could you imagine us doing an
you can make whatever deal you need to
live version of your guys' play? Like, just
that would be exciting.
Because, and this will be an exciting conversation to have. Who gets to say, and there's going to be a fight over this, you smell and I hate you for all time.
Oh, my goodness.
Another
Who wrote that?
golden nugget
Who wrote
of this
that?
episode.
And then shoving Uncle Ira to the ground? Oh, my God.
Poor guy.
I hate you, Uncle. You smell, and I hate you for all time.
You didn't really say that, did you?
I might as well have.
It's so good. You smell and I hate you for all time.
That's in the act that I did, but I don't remember.
That's Act 3.
typing
I don't know.
words.
Now you've given us 2 I did thises, and those are in Act 3, so I don't know.
I mean, we did a lot of punch up.
Right. I'm not saying you can take credit for the joke, but I'm saying like it's sounding confident now that you were responsible for the actual execution of post break of the act, and then you guys all rewrote stuff together. But I feel like we solved that mystery based on what you're saying. I mean, he's saying he's claiming
script
Act
analysis
3.
now. This is kind
You
of
heard him.
No, I
He
hear
said
it.
that's the act
I'm
I
sitting
worked
here
on.
and I'm listening.
Josh is not on board. He is.
It sounds like a line I could have written. I mean, I could have done it. I have a computer.
You have
I
those
know how
letters
that
on your
works.
And
keyboard.
it may be your joke.
What if it was
it
May?
may be your joke.
Maybe I came up with a set of circumstances that led to that joke. I don't know. It's basically like pitching the joke.
It's alchemy.
Yes.
When you guys pitch jokes, is there like a vote for what stays and what doesn't stay?
Is it anything that formal, or is it just like everybody kind of mutters and goes
like
"Man,
yay or
probably-
nay?
Yeah,
It's more like that.
It's just like that. The eyes have it. The eyes have it.
Yeah. Was it a gentle room for that? You guys are so nice. I have to imagine it was gentler than some rooms.
Yeah, we didn't beat anybody up for not having a funny joke. Mostly it was on the page, and then it was like, let's just make this better, or a scene moves, and suddenly there's no joke. Or something. That's how I kind of remember it happening.
Is there someone having
no
like
joke,
not good jokes for a while, like a bad pitcher or bad goalie? Like, damn, he's not good. He's not doing good for a while. It's been a few weeks since he's come with a zinger.
We all go
Let's
for a
be
dry
honest,
spell.
we all have our bad days.
We all have. You almost touched your Zuko hair just then. You were like, we all have our bad days. Poof poof.
I think Ehaz was usually driving. Was usually the one like
it stays or it goes kind of
stuff,
joke
right?
wise.
Yeah. I think, but I would agree. He kind of had veto power. But I think the democracy of comedy is usually
democracy of comedy.
People laugh or they don't,
that's well
and that's
put.
just how it works. You can't really fake it.
No, it's a good point.
Right.
Well, speaking of funny versus like more poignant, and we talked about this up till this point, but there are some really poignant moments. As crazy as this episode is and as funny as it is, suddenly we're treated like, and for me, every time I watch the episode, once we get into Zuko's regret and Aang's angst, if you will, about how it's going, I'm sort of pulled back into my body like, oh yeah, this isn't just funny for some people.
Sad.
Like I forgot. This is really hard for Zuko to see, and it's really hard for Aang to see. And I think that's also such a great important part of the episode. You guys didn't let go of that. You know,
Mm-hmm.
you're still delivering that even within this wackadoo episode, right?
Totally.
It was everything that wasn't resolved.
Yeah.
Right. So
Right.
it's like we're really focusing on that now. Like, oh, this is a problem. And like you left your uncle who's been there for you the entire time.
Totally.
How does that feel?
Yeah.
Go look him in the eye.
Horrible.
Yeah.
And so it's kind of like, what do we need to resolve
Yeah.
for the finale?
Yeah.
And
But
it was
it's
So
just,
good.
It's like the tragedy plus time, you know. That's why it's funny.
Yeah.
It's because you've spent 3 years watching all these people live these train wreck
Right,
lives.
Right.
And then it's like, now we can laugh about it.
Yeah.
Right, huh?
but there's still
Except
some
for-
damage.
except for it's
Yeah,
not
but it's
done.
not, didn't fix
Except for
anything.
It's not
done.
Yeah,
even
exactly.
done yet.
Exactly.
And then what about
I think just like having to think about something every day for 3 years, like we did with the show, it's like you're gonna have some hangups that you.
Totally.
It's just writers' room banter.
Sure.
And just to see it all come out in an actual episode is really fun.
What's great is, and again, this is before like the internet as we know it today. And I know there was chat rooms and whatnot, but you guys were like fans of the show too. And when the fans watch the show, you are the fans talking about everything that the fans have been talking about now for 20 years. You go back to this episode, you're like, every one of these things is a conversation still to this day.
Yeah. It wasn't just before the internet. It was before therapy.
So
it
beautiful
all-
way.
it all
Beautiful
came
way
out here.
to have it.
Yeah, it was
it makes me
very-
want to see this version of almost every show I like.
Right.
Like, I want to see the writers exercise these demons in a funny way for
Right.
every show.
It is funny, John. He like hits it right because it is like all the stuff that us writers thought.
Yeah.
And I guess the fans thought that too. And so
Yeah.
it's so easy to be like, yeah, is it because of the fans? Or,
Right.
you know, animation doesn't quite work that way. It's not like it comes
Right.
out and then the way we work on it feels we're far ahead
Yes.
of everybody, especially
That's
the writers.
Very,
Right.
true.
And so I guess, yeah, we all just were like, this is ridiculous and this was stupid and why couldn't we do this? And wouldn't it be funny? And this was like one-dimensional
Right.
Yeah.
versions.
There's a
They
lot
said
of
that-
resentment.
Yeah, some resentment,
Yeah.
A little
some
bit
anger.
gotta get
That's
you
the
always
wild
got, it's
thing.
comedy.
Yeah,
You always have to have
exactly.
resentment in there somewhere.
That's the magical thing. You're so far ahead because it is, not only was it just a different time, but it's animation. So we didn't even see half the
Yeah.
things you guys are even complaining about yet.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
a good. That's
You
a
know?
really
Yeah.
good point. That's a really good
And
point.
then
That
it
helps answer
holds
it.
almost 2 decades later, the conversations still
Yeah,
hold to the audience
very much
today.
so.
Yeah.
It's wild.
Strong choice to have Aang kiss Katara even after she has said, "I'm not into this right now." Let's talk about it. Do you remember? Was
Drama.
were you dancing around that at all? Or was it like, no, it's got to happen. It's going to be painful.
John, I think that was in your act.
Hi.
John's
Oh, I thought that was Josh.
I'm pretty sure it was Tim.
You guys know what I just remembered about this episode is that Game of Thrones did this episode, and
Did
it's
they
like
have
where
a? Did they have a? You're watching a play.
So yeah, it's Arya,
Yeah.
Arya Stark, and she's in Essos somewhere, and she's hiding out.
and they do the
I
red
think she's
wedding.
hiding from-
Do they do the red wedding?
Oh,
or something
right.
like
I
that?
forgot about this.
Yeah, and it's some very like
You're
pro
right.
Lannister
Yeah.
production.
Yeah.
And she's watching it and watching her family portrayed as treacherous buffoons.
Right.
Right.
God,
And
that's
I
so
think they
right.
did kill. I remember. Game of Thrones ripped off this show a lot.
Yep.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I don't
Finally.
disagree.
I didn't. I mean,
I don't
I
disagree.
don't know if I'm ever going to
Finally.
audition for
At a
the
certain
Game of
point,
Thrones.
there was no more books,
You can
and
change
so
your
people
tune
were just
then.
like
Yeah, I don't know.
freewheeling.
I saw
yeah.
something that was pretty good.
Yeah.
I mean, the
What other source material is there?
dragons.
Yeah.
You know,
Love amongst the
the
dragons.
fact that dragons don't exist, but then they
And then
do
they-
exist.
Uh-oh. But
Uh,
there's lots of homage to other things in this series
Yes,
that
of
we've
course.
talked about
true.
with
Of
each
course.
of you. So
Absolutely.
we don't know where that line is that gets crossed. But anyway, so really good way of avoiding answering the question about Aang kissing Katara. But it did happen. It
It
makes
did
it
happen.
even more sad
Yeah.
and painful
It did
and
happen.
cringy. And again,
Cringy
you brought it up
moment.
earlier. Many of us have been in a
Many
situation
of
like
us.
that where we're like, everything in me is telling me not to do this, but the other piece of me that's telling me to do this is winning. And then you just do it. And you're like,
Yeah.
nope, the other part was right. Other part was right.
it was a win for Zutarians out
Man,
there all
Aang-
around the world.
You just think that like he thinks I'm gonna this
will
is it.
be.
I'm gonna turn it around.
I can
right
turn
here.
this
It's like-
around.
We all
Yeah.
thought that at the time.
buddy.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
it breaks my heart.
And then you,
Poor
as the
kid.
person who's done it, you can feel the kiss
Oh, you feel it.
And
Your
you
face
feel-
is all prickly.
Yeah,
that
the
person is
coldness
just
of that.
a statue.
The coldness of
closed
that
off.
kiss.
Yeah.
It's so horrible.
Oh no, it's
Yeah.
so horrible. But well done. Well done.
Well done.
Well executed.
Did she? Was it a dodge or did she?
No,
I
she
think
like
she did
allowed
dodge.
it?
It hits
She
her.
allowed
It happened.
It hits
She
her.
does-
Yeah.
and she
And
gives
then
him the
it's
She's
hand.
kind of like,
Then it's like the hand. and
It's
like,
the
what
hand?
Yeah.
Oh no.
Okay, interesting.
My team was watching this episode with me yesterday, and he left during that scene, and he was like, "Oh, I don't like this scene."
See?
yeah,
Yeah.
real.
I mean, that's
No.
impact right
No,
there.
It's horrible.
Oh, it's so painful. All right.
Yeah.
I feel like we want to I want to give you guys a little taste. I know you know, but sometimes because you're not doing the cons and stuff, you're not necessarily hearing from people how much they love these moments. I guarantee you, these listeners and these viewers did not have to go back to watch this
No.
episode to answer this. And I know because I posted, what's your favorite moment in Ember Island Players? And I had like 75 answers in 30 seconds.
That's crazy.
None of those people had time. Then there were more pouring in
Right.
afterwards. All of those people were like, I know it. I'm typing it in right now, even as I'm reading your question. So Revena says, Avatar State, yip, yip.
Yeah.
Big
Hey,
shout out
good
to
one.
that.
Yeah.
She's queen. Wait, what's that? I think it's your honor.
Where?
This is my favorite.
Yeah.
Wait, what's that? I think it's your honor.
Where?
That's my favorite. I think
Oh,
this
It's
whole
goodness.
episode.
so good.
Where?
Amperton.
Zuko honors thing.
How did he get
Oh,
away?
it's so good.
You guys, when I did the show, I did not understand the honor joke at all. Went to my first Comic-Con, people were asking me to write honor on stuff. I'm like,
What do you mean?
why? What are you talking about?
I'm not in the military.
I mean, I'll
Yeah.
write whatever you
Right.
want me to write on this thing.
Is that your
but
name?
Honor?
Judge.
Yeah, you got to go out there knowing what the people want. Amperton says, I love Katara's hope speech, and I would quote that for years. I still quote actor Iroh and Zuko's hair speech to this day. Zuko, it's time we had to talk about your hair. It's gone too far. Maybe it's best if we flicks hair, split up. Wonderful.
Wonderful.
This I'm not going to be able to say this name. Not Angelina, okay? That's
not
what's going to be.
Angelina, okay.
I love the little detail where they had the actress that played Aang wear glow-in-the-dark makeup and paint to mimic the Avatar state. Wanted
was
to make sure
good.
we shouted that out because it's a
Designers,
great
true.
moment.
So much great design in this episode.
We talked about this a lot with Andrea, but Brittany Malia says the special effects crew, which basically is just the guy.
Yeah.
The one old
The
man.
guy's like
In his golden years, cranking out all of those effects. Janice
Been here a
Feynman says,
while.
I love the gang's reactions to the show. I can't choose between Sokka crying during the US scene, the little boy telling Zuko his scars on the wrong side, or Zuko and Toph's touching conversation. Cedar Oak music, Sokka giving Sokka advice to the Sokka actor. Carlos with the cookies, heavily sobbing. It just gave me so much hope. Rob G. Nando, Zutara, even the writers knew it was never going to happen and just did a little fan service. Rob, think again. You heard it here. It wasn't fan service necessarily. It was writer service.
It was writer service.
It was writer service.
They're in debate. They're in heavy debate.
We talked about honor, Gregra, Dragon Feeny. My name's Toph because it sounds like tough, and that's just what I am. One
Yeah, I
of
like
my
that one.
favorite
Yeah.
lines.
It's a great
and that's
line.
just what I am.
And I think
So
the
dumb.
name is Toph,
Yeah.
like tough, right? It's so good.
yeah, I think that's right.
Yeah.
Lots of people said Scar on the wrong side. Lots of people. And I just want to shout out the Olive Pair. Kind of a different take, but it was cool that the characters were also learning things for the first time about each other.
Yes.
That's
Suki
true.
learns about Sokka's relationship with Yue.
Yeah.
The gang learning
took it
about
quite
Zuko's
well.
fallout with Iroh.
She did. Well, she's
Zutara
the
being
moon.
presented as an idea to Aang. On that note, not a great episode for us Katang folks. Shout out to you, Olive Pair.
Not a great episode.
Lots and lots of love for this episode from people. And again, the folks knew immediately. They were like, which one do I pick? People just know and
Yeah.
quote this episode
love that.
nonstop.
There was something
Great
in
job.
there. The conversation between Toph and Zuko and that so touching thing about Uncle Iroh, where we remember
yeah.
being
nice.
She's the one to
Yeah.
say.
she would play it the whole thing like she didn't know Iroh, because like I just met an old man, and then
Right.
you realize she did know, and then this whole emotional conversation.
It's my greatest regret, and I may never get to redeem myself.
You have redeemed yourself to your uncle. You don't realize it, but you already have.
How do you know?
Because I once had a long conversation with the guy, and all he would talk about was you.
Really?
Yeah, and it was kind of annoying.
Oh, sorry.
But it was also very sweet. All your uncle wanted was for you to find your own path and see the light. Now you're here with us. He'd be proud.
Ow! What was that for?
That's how I show affection.
In the middle of this episode.
Thanks for pointing that out.
Between Katara and Aang, and that in the middle of this craziness is wild to put that in the middle of this episode.
It's beautiful.
Yeah.
And then we do kind of have, I'm just realizing, major foreshadow report, but most of you know this. But then we see that happen in Sozin's Comet. We sort of see the mirror of that when Zuko can't go in.
That's right.
He gets to the tent and he's like, I can't do this. And Katara has to give him a little speech about hope. Wink, wink.
Yeah.
But she plays the Toph role in the sense that she sort of says the same thing that Toph says. Yeah. I just realized that because we were just talking about, we're thinking about that other episode, but there's a really nice mirror there where it's like this thing that hasn't happened yet.
Right.
We now see actually kind of happens.
Is this one episode?
Ember Island Players?
Yeah,
it's just one episode.
Just one episode?
Yeah, because of all the breaks.
You guys time bended. You guys time bended something in this episode. It seemed like
so
much
great.
in this episode.
I know. It's got Sokka would love it. It's very meaty.
Yeah,
it's very meaty.
Very meaty.
You guys, any last? John.
I was just gonna say, to me, when I watched it yesterday, the thing that was most impressive was like the jokes are great and all, but the present day rapper with them commenting on stuff and learning, like the fan said, them watching and learning things and discussing it afterwards. That's all like, man. I think that's what makes it. But
the big thing, I think beyond that, also that I love that. And for me, when I was watching it, I was like having such a fun time with all these characters. But then when you guys went into the future, and I was like, oh,
I like that.
And you see them predict the future, what's going on, and you're like, this is not good. That changes. Like no recap episode does that. No one recap goes like, oh, we're having all fun, but this is how the Fire Nation sees this ending, and you get the characters going, oh.
I guess that could
I guess that does look very viable for us to totally lose.
Great point.
All of it. And like, not like we die. Like, so we kill Zuko. We kill. And you're like, oh my God, they just killed us all.
And the crowd is
they
dark.
Get killed on stage. They can get killed on stage.
It's so eerie, and it's kind of morose, especially for the gang watching. Like, oh, this is a bad idea to watch this play.
Yeah.
Well, Pooh on Tim knows what the audience
Pooh
wants.
on Tim!
He knows. He's not going to leave him hanging.
So, he's got to be successful already for someone to put the budget into him doing all that traveling. I mean, that's a lot of capital that's going into his research. You guys, I know some of you have time constraints. We don't want to keep you too late, but thank you so much for coming back and talking about this. You really answered some burning questions that we all had.
It's rare we get it from the horse's mouth, and it's always amazing when we get to.
Big hand for these horses, everybody.
Yay.
Thanks,
guys.
Good to see you, John.
Great to see everybody.
Man. Yeah, I miss writing with Tim and Josh. Let's do that again.
John was my roommate on the show.
Oh.
Wow.
We had a lot of real close
I was
contact.
a terrible roommate. I'm a slob.
We listened to like
we made it work.
metal.
We made it to the full version of the play at Sketchfest, so you guys might have to come back together to flesh out.
Fantastic.
That's
flesh out the
extremely
in-betweens.
appealing.
Get Pooh on Tim.
Oof.
Can somebody find Pooh on Tim? We need the manuscript.
Just wandering
of the
around
whole
out
play.
there.
Are there places people should follow you? Anything you want people to check out before we say farewell?
No.
Let the
Don't
episode
look for us.
live on its own. The celebration of this great work. Guys, thank you again.
Thank you guys so much. Always
Everybody.
a pleasure.
Thank you.
We hope you loved having these
thank
burning
you.
questions answered.
It's about time.
And we'll talk to you next time.
Did you know you can hear bonus episodes of our award-winning podcasts?
Subscribe to Avatar Braving the Elements Premium on Apple Podcasts for early access, exclusive content, and ad-free episodes.
I'm so excited!